Let's go to the next question from Carmen. We've got a couple more philosophical questions, Lewis. One from Carmen is ignorance really bliss? There's so much that could really be said about this. And the idea being that the less aware you are about the realities of the world and bad things going on, and the more simple-minded you are, the more blissful you are, because you just are aware of less, you're aware of fewer things that are concerning, and you're just less likely to get upset about stuff that's going on in the world. Now, in practice, do you think that that actually holds true?
I think it can. I think if we're talking about people who, let's say people who have their lives in order, who you have a job, your bills are paid, you live comfortably, but we're talking about everything else that's happening in the world, let's say politically. I think for people like that, ignorance can truly be bliss.
So you're kind of saying all else being equal, given similar circumstances, just having a lack of idea of the world can actually lead to you being, now is it happier or just more satisfied with life?
I think happier, because I think if you are unaware of what's happening in the world and perhaps what's happening in your own country, maybe even politically, I think you can be in a blissful state. And I think perhaps for a lot of those people, if they were to learn about the realities of what's happening around them, it would adversely affect them. Now, on the other side, I think if you are a person who is ignorant about the things happening in your own life and around you and the things you are doing, I would say that ignorance might not be bliss, because if the things you are doing, the things you surround yourself with are making you unhappy or making your life more difficult and you don't realize it, you continue to do those things. And, well, you were probably not in a blissful state.
I read an article last week which suggests that studies show if you're more clever, and it's interesting that the article used this word, if you're more clever, you're more likely to experience general anxiety, as well as kind of more existential type anxiety. And so it was kind of interesting to see the term cleverness used. If I step back for a second, I can understand why. If you know that ultimately the sun is going to burn out and the planet is no longer going to be habitable, that's a fact which at best it doesn't cause you any stress or anxiety, but it actually might. So we could identify all sorts of fact-based beliefs which could only serve to make people less happy. So in that sense, I do understand the concept of ignorance is bliss. And you know what? I talk to a lot of people who live what they describe as very simple lives, and they're not very curious about other things or other parts of the world, and they really do seem very happy.
I think it's interesting watching some of those documentaries that try to tackle happiness. And I guess many of the world's happiest people, at least so we're led to believe, are kind of isolated and aren't really exposed to what is happening everywhere else. So yeah, I think it can be true that ignorance is bliss.
Send me your thoughts on this one. Is there another angle that we're not thinking about here?